I'm here outside of my office building on Thursday, December 19th, 2024. I figured while I'm still living here, I should show you guys a few architectural tidbits. This building, just next to my office building, and lying about halfway between 2nd and 3rd South on Main Street, this Carrick building has what appear to be ice cream cones on the top of the facade. That's very interesting. Meanwhile, let me zoom in here. As we see an inbound Blue Line train head toward Salt Lake Central, what you see now is the glass-enclosed sky bridge over Main Street connecting the two halves of City Creek Center. Now, once upon a time, City Creek Center was actually two malls. So looking north on Main Street toward Temple Square, to the left there would have been the Crossroads Mall, and to the right would have been the ZCMI Center. Now, ZCMI, that stands for Zion's Cooperative Mercantile Institute. And, whoops, it's a little too far. There we go. That facade right there between the eastern Main Street entrance to City Creek Center and the Zion Bank building beyond, that's actually either a preserved storefront or a replica storefront of ZCMI. For the longest time, they billed themselves as America's first department store. Now, the two malls were actually brought together in the early 2000s, demolished in the late 2000s, and opened as City Creek Center in the early 2010s. I'll try to show it in more detail in a later video. Specifically, when I go to see the lights at Temple Square. That'll be this year's Christmas lights video. Lastly, let me zoom out here. That is a replica of a weather tower erected atop the Walker Center, originally opened as the Walker Bank building over 100 years ago. Sometime in the 1940s, a radio station moved in and erected a weather tower not unlike this one. However, when the radio station went off the air in the 80s, the original tower went with it. About 25 years later, a replica was erected where the original one stood. And what's interesting about this tower is it'll show either red or blue lights, and it'll either be solid, not flashing, and flashing. Again, this all depends on the weather. So a solid blue would be clear skies, flashing blue means it's cloudy, solid red means it's raining, and flashing red means it's snowing. Now, I used to see this in the early morning hours when I used to live on South Temple Street, and I must have seen these patterns from the platform at City Center at least once. And just before I moved here in 2022, they replaced the original neon tube lighting with LED lights. So it can now show more than just the typical red and blue weather-based patterns. Now I'm going to point out another couple of architectural Apparently this used to be the state capitol building a long time ago. And through these trees here, that's the Salt Lake City Public Library. I was there a few weeks ago to get my passport submitted. You know, get the paperwork in, make sure everything's accurate. Should probably go back there one of these days. Just for the fun of it.
Library, 2nd East.
Facility. This is Trolley Square Mall. Once upon a time, it was actually a set of car barns for when the original streetcar network was up and running. Excuse me. Sadly, streetcar service ended just after World War II, as it did in many American cities. Now, you see that tower there? When I lived on South Temple Street, my apartment there was on a high enough floor that I could see that all lit up at night. That used to be the water tower providing water for the sprinkler systems in the car barns, and later it had a similar function to the Walker Center's weather tower. It doesn't do that now, however. It's just decorative. After the end of streetcar service, it was used as a bus garage, even into the earliest days of the Utah Transit Authority. It became a mall in the early 70s, and like 20 to 25 years later, was added to the National Register of Historic Places. There's all kinds of shops here, including a Whole Foods. There's one of the vehicle entrances right there. As a matter of fact, here's one of the signs of the Utah Light and Railway Company. That was one of the several companies here in Salt Lake City, and I believe the one that lasted the longest. And now it's nighttime, and having had a drink or two with my co-workers, I'm about to head home. But there's the Walker Center Tower lighting I mentioned earlier. And because we've had nothing but clear skies today, it's showing a solid blue. Anyway, see you next time.